Yep.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Bloomfield Board of Education meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Abbott?
Present.
Mr. Bratton?
Present.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Present.
Mrs. Sherman?
Present.
Number 3, Pledge of Allegiance.
Mr. Young, you want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4, approval of agenda. We do have one correction. Page 4, 9C, 16N. We need to remove boys and just put middle school track. Nobody sees anything else? Can we get a motion, please?
Second.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't see it. I didn't hear it.
I think we're on.
Joe, you second that?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Approval of the minutes from January 5th, 2022 meeting.
I did not see any.
I did not either.
Looks good to me.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Matt Bratton.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
And Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Number 6, public participation. A citizen granted permission to address the board shall speak no longer than 3 minutes at one time, except by consent of the majority of the board members present. A maximum of 30 minutes of public participation may be permitted at each meeting. The Bloomfield Board of Education policy requires that individual names not to be used as part of a complaint or concern being stated to the board during the public participation part of the agenda. The board rests in its president the authority to terminate any remarks which may be defamatory, abusive, or otherwise cause undue interruption and interference with the orderly conduct of business. So we have 2 people. Jason Harlander, you're first.
I don't know if I met everybody, so just hello. First, I just want to say thank you to Sean. Sean already met with Kristen and I, talked about having our kids stay as open enrollment. But I just wanted to talk to the board a little bit, got a chance to see Kristen's contract, and just kind of wanted to explain our situation. So our current custody arrangement that I have right now, I have, well, I can read it to you. I have, like sole custody of my children. So it's been granted by the court up in Delaware that I got sole allocation of parental rights and sole custody of all my minor children. I have a son who's a junior at BC, goes to the Career Center now. I have a daughter who is in 5th grade and a daughter who's in 2nd grade. And Kristen and I are married, so we also have Cheryl and Katie, which are her biological kids that are in 6th grade and 4th grade. With that being said, we are planning on moving, and we have been looking for a house in the district for a family of 7. That is really hard to find, I hate to say. And we have found a house, however, it's a mile outside the district. It's in Canal, Winchester. And we were hoping to keep our kids as open enrollment following Kristen's contract that she has, with the school, which, says that teachers' children can be open enrolled in the district. In talking to Sean, it was conveyed to us that it's biological children only, which.
Legal guardian.
Legal guardian, yeah, excuse me, yeah. Which in reading, Kristen's contract, at least in the verbiage that's there, it's the children of unit members may attend Bloomfield Carroll schools pursuant to the eligibility requirements of open enrollment contained in board policy. In the event Bloomfield Carroll schools close open enrollment, the children of unit members will be permitted to attend as if open enrollment were not closed, as long as the child's enrollment does not require the district to provide additional space or hire any additional teachers. When I read that, and again, I'm not a legal expert, but when I read that, I don't feel like the spirit of what was in the contract was, either biological children or children that a teacher has guardianship of. There's a lot of different living situations these days. There's blended families, there's same-sex couples, domestic partnerships, and again, we're a blended family. So, in talking with Sean, it was, our son can stay because he's a junior. Poor Cheryl and Caden can stay because they're Kristen's children. But our two younger daughters, mine, that, again, I've got sole custody of, and my ex-wife doesn't, she doesn't have parenting time. There's no parenting time granted. It's supervised visits only, and she's chosen to not see my children for 2 years. So, we are following down the path of possible getting Kristen guardianship or filing for adoption, but that's a huge process. And it's lengthy from the lawyers I've talked to, and if we do move, we just want to guarantee that our kids can stay in the district. Also because we're already part of the district, and because of Kristen's contract being a teacher. So that's why we came to the board. We just wanted to kind of ask, put our situation, understand the contract better, and just ask that you would consider to allow all of our children to be part of open enrollment if we do move. So, thank you.
Thank you. Kristen, Arlene, you're next.
I feel like you pretty much said everything we wanted to say. The reason why we want to move, and you guys all have children, I think I've taught them all. But we live on Coon Path, right at like the blind hill when you go down, and our driveway is an easement, and it's a gravel driveway. So coming out of there, like, we've almost got hit several times. Our high school son just started driving 3 months ago, and that's when we were like, ooh, this is not safe. So it is very dangerous coming out of there. And that is honestly the reason why we want to move. Like, we want to stay in the district if at all possible. But again, this is a mile outside, and I fully understand like the rules and open enrollment. But I'm hoping that you guys will give our situation consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Middle school updates, Mr. Young.
All right, buddy, I'm here, Chad Young, principal of Bloomfield Carroll Middle School. Hey, thanks for having me today. Just kind of wanted to give an overview of all the things that we do at middle school besides teaching, all the subjects that we all hear about. They talked about years ago when it was just reading, writing, and arithmetic, and now it's all of that plus everything else that our children go through. But I just kind of wanted to give a rundown of all the different things and all the different kind of initiatives that we have going on at the middle school. Nobody ever really says, man, I really miss middle school. Like I always miss elementary and high school and your college especially, but nobody ever says, man, I want to go back to 7th grade, So we try to help them get through those difficult years, and it's even more difficult now with all the pressures they have to look a certain way and to be a certain way, and I know it's hard as a parent too. But one thing first thing I just wanted to touch base on was 8th grade program we do in health class called Catch My Breath. It's an evidence-based youth e-cigarette, Juul, talk about the dangers of vaping. It kind of has gone, like, you don't hear as much as we did a couple of years ago, but it's still out there, it's still a thing. And the health class, we have a speaker come in through the Adam H board, and I think the Guidestones is the company that comes in. The same company also does another program, Mrs. Johnson, does it. Our guidance counselor, she runs it. It's a program called Second Steps. That's something that's designed for kids who may struggle fitting in or with social emotional needs. It teaches small groups healthy ways to self-regulate and to regulate to others more effectively. This isn't a mandatory thing. Students are allowed to opt out if they don't like the way things are going. Been a little bit of rough times here and there because one of the, they go through workers, they change over a lot, and we've got somebody there now that's working with the kids that's doing a really good job, and it's made me feel better about their meetings. Another thing that we do, and I don't mean to bring everybody down, but we do in 8th grade also a signs of suicide thing that we do too. It's another thing that's important, that kids know the signs and recognize the signs of suicide. Parents are allowed to opt their children out of the questionnaire that we do, and I think we've got a lot of good feedback from parents that they're glad that we do this, that we talk about it. I don't know how to talk to my kids really about it, it's just one of those subjects that's kind of hard to talk about. It's nice to have some professionals in there to talk to them. Some guest speakers we've had this year. We had a local guy named Robert Post. He's kind of a quirky guy, does some fun little things, but he also has some videos out there. I don't know if your kids are in middle school, they might have, they don't want to like it. He puts on he juggles, he does some funny things, but he also has some really good videos that he talks to the kids about. That kids talk about their time in middle school and how they, how they've come through it, and that it, high school is something to kind of look forward to. We also recently, and it was in, I think, today's email that went out from Mr. Graniger, we had a sheriff's office in talking about cybersecurity. It's kind of ridiculous, like you can have a talk about cybersecurity on the way out of the auditorium, you can get somebody turned in for cyberbullying right after the thing, and being nice to kids, but we keep trying to tell them, these phones are dangerous, that the way you act on your phone, can come back to hurt other people and can hurt you. All we can do is keep educating them. From a staff standpoint, last year was a pretty difficult year with all that was going on. It's much better this year. Actually, our building has got a lot less students now without the 5th grade here. It still feels pretty full, but I think we've been able to kind of go back to more of a middle school approach, and I think we're trying to come up. I've been here for 7 years, and we're trying to come up now with really. It's time to work on the culture again, kind of for me. Something that we can agree on as a staff. What are our core beliefs to match the district's vision, mission, vision statements, and just kind of have some belief statements that we can. When we talk to kids, a lot of feedback we've gotten so far is that you have to have a relationship before you can discipline, and that's something that we, that I think if the teachers kind of come up with that as their belief, then I can kind of help with that as well. We can kind of make that a common belief. Something I've been doing, I've been going to intervention classes every about 3 weeks. This video series called The Harbor, I'm going to turn this on for just about a minute, and I won't make you watch the whole thing, but I think the volume might be really loud, so if it is, I'm sorry, I don't want to turn it down, I'll probably mess it up. But I've been going into intervention. I might not go in as much now because those students aren't in intervention every day now with the Career Connections course that I'll talk about here in just a second. But I've been going in to try to reinforce resiliency, kindness, and integrity. It's what we talk a lot about when we do Bulldog Awards. And here's a quick video. I'll just, watch just a minute or two of it. One of the videos that I shared with the kids during intervention class.
Hey, my name's Kevin Lau. I'm from Pleasanton, California. I'm known best for playing Manhattan basketball at D1. The thing a little different about me though is that I did it all with one hand. I was born like this. My umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck twice. It took off my arm, but it saved my neck and it saved my life. and I joked around about how that was a good trade. I didn't actually even start playing basketball until I was in 7th grade. I was 12 years old. I was 6'4" giant, and I tried out for the team, and the coach cut me. And he said, you know, basketball's a two-handed sport, and to try something else. You know what happened? This guy over in a different city heard about me, asked me to come try out for his team. His name is Coach McKnight. He took me on this team with 18 and 19-year-olds who were college bound. And I just spent the next year of that season getting dunked on by them because they were so much better than me. I was that 12-year-old who couldn't even make a 7th grade team. So what he did is he gave me that first opportunity to succeed in a sport I learned to love. You know, but what really this Coach McKnight did in my life is he looked at me and he looked at my arm and he said, why don't you use that? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you're nub. Why don't you use that? What this coach did is he changed my perspective. He changed my outlook on myself and turned me around not only into a great basketball player, but a better person. Going to high school was a terrible experience.
He talks a little bit more, and it's pretty good. I can share it with you if you want to see the rest. It actually shows him dunking some a little bit, and he's quite a talented guy. But just some stories like that. There are different speakers that come in and try to get them engaged a little bit. They don't want to talk too much, but just seeing that video and these different videos, it talks a lot about kindness, resiliency are the ones that I try to find. You know, we do it like every 3 weeks. Me or if I'm not available, Mr. DeKay, I'll share it with the kids. Last couple things, and I'll let you guys go. Test scores from the middle school, I always kind of like to cover that because it's come through. You know, statewide, math scores were down across the state, and we were no different. I think there was a lot of learning loss. I think we're trying to catch back. We still have, it seems like a little bit more than usual frustration of kids that are struggling with math still, you know, trying to give them interventions and help. We are able now to give them a little bit more intervention because of the Career Connections class, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, but it has freed up one of our study hall teachers, and we've kind of targeted a group of kids that can, instead of having 30 kids in a study hall, we got 4 or 5 kids in study halls that can now maybe get a little extra help, getting their homework done, getting motivated, you know, build a relationship with the teacher and try to make sure that they're getting all their work done. ELA actually was, you know, 3 of the 4 grades showed above expected growth in language arts, which was nice, and I kind of wanted to throw in there 2 years ago, we added a writing course in 6th grade, and I believe this is the first year that we've, because 5th grade has 2, a language arts and a reading teacher, and this is the first year we've seen kind of the results of that writing class, and I think that we have seen some improvement in there, because when you go to 6th grade, you got to write 2 essays, but they go down from 80 minutes to 40 minutes, and 6th grade really did a good job this year, and I think a lot of it has to do with their writing skills that they've developed the last couple of years. And last thing, you know, that Career Connections class, which is something new this year, it's you guys are well aware of it. The Career Center provided a teacher. The teacher was in Amanda for the first semester, and they're with us this semester. And you know, I really like the teacher they sent. She's doing a great job. And again, you may know all this stuff, but there's 16 career clusters that they try to cover and discuss. The highlights include some guest speakers that they have. They do some competitive STEM challenges and some collaborative projects. So it's going well, and that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. And appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Good job, Chad. Thank you.
You also do.
Yeah, go ahead. Close that down. Or just exit out of that because I'll use it later.
Yeah, I'll just shut off. You're out there.
Number 7, treasurer's recommendation and reports, please.
Just an update before we get to the items. The auditors are concluding their audit, annual audit the state. I just didn't want you to get an email because as soon as they conclude it, they send you an email and they don't forewarn me, so I didn't want you to get an email and not know what it was all about. No issues really found, just a few minor things. So if I hear anything else, I'll let you know. But again, just wanted to give you a heads up so you weren't blindsided by an email directly from the auditor states. With that, item A is approve the December financial statements for a total expense of $12,257,593.40, including just over 10.1 in consortium expenses. I don't have a lot for December, obviously, with it being a couple of months ago, so unless there are any specific questions on the December financials, we'll probably just take a vote at this time.
Move it.
Get a motion, please.
Was that your form of
That
motion?
was my-
I'll second whatever that was.
Motion made by Mr. Bratton, seconded by Jen Sherman.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Item B is approve the January financial statements for a total expense of $11,139,158.97. For this month, just under $8.4 million in consortium expenses. We do have a little bit of a summary within your packet. On page 25 of the electronic copy, quite a bit going on in January. As you can see, the third of our fourth income tax distribution was received. Another good trend, up by 13.35% from the prior year. You can see most of that's current withholdings there with the highlighted. That was obviously not what we were forecasting, so it's exceeded the forecasted amount by $160,812. So again, good economic indicators there as we move through the fiscal year. The semi-annual casino revenue distribution for the four casinos in Ohio that distribute revenue to the local governments is also received based on ADM, and that's at just under $70 per student, which is up from past distributions. That's based strictly on gross revenue from the casinos. The state finally implemented the new funding formula in January. It's been a while coming. Normally, instead of catching you all up to get where you should be, they'll spread that out over the months of January through June. That was not the case this time, so kind of caught us off guard. So there are a couple of items, I won't go through all these, but that are overinflated right now because they caught us all up at one time instead of spreading it out over the rest of the fiscal year. So those should catch back up to the forecast throughout February through June. So current carryover, just over $4.5 million. So any questions on the January financials or the checks written during the month?
Any questions? I'll make the motion. Motion made by Jimmy Johnson, seconded by Rod Johnson.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Item C is approve the amounts and rates as determined by the Fairfield County Budget Commission, authorize necessary tax levies, and certify them to the county auditor. We went through this in January, but we have to officially approve it in order for the auditor to collect taxes on our behalf. General fund, 20 mil floor effective mills. Our debt service with our bond issues down to 7.4 effective mills. Permanent improvement down to 1.01 effective mills. And you can see our total taxable valuation. Again, we had gone over these new values in January.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Joe Abbott.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
And finally, item D is approve appointing the treasurer as the district's designee for public records matters and direct him to attend as the board's designee a training session provided by the Ohio Auditor of State's Office. As elected public officials, you five are required to attend one public records training per term or have a designee, which is usually much easier than you going through the training. You're more than welcome to, but this allows this allows me to attend on your behalf. So.
Appreciate that.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, seconded by Mr. Bratton.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Number 8, old business. A, approve the 2022-2023 school calendar. And B, approve the 2023-2024 school calendar. I know we looked at this last month. Anybody have any questions or
I assume no changes in that.
Yeah.
no changes? Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Jim Sherman, seconded by Rod Johnson.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes. Number 9, superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Holland.
All right, just a couple of things. I don't typically do this, but I've tried to keep all of you informed. I copied you on an email I do everything I can to always follow board policy, state law, or CBA, with the application of our open enrollment and all other policies. I just want to be clear about that. If exceptions are made, I get calls daily, weekly, monthly, from people all around the area about enrollment in the Bloom Carroll School District. When you start making exceptions here and there, it allows people to accuse you of applying policies inconsistently and unfairly. And I've never operated that way. Some people don't like the answers that they hear when we have to apply our policies. I have emailed, I have met with individuals to explain the process that they can meet to meet the guidelines within our policies to keep people enrolled in the school district. So I don't want anybody to think that there are not opportunities and options, okay? There's a lot of Ohio laws that I'm not gonna go into about legal guardians. There's a lot of policy that I could sit here and read to you about open enrollment, and legal guardians have to sign the open enrollment application. If you want me to do that, I can schedule a time. You can call me. I will go over everything that I possibly can, but I always want to be clear that I have tough jobs sometimes, and we would have hundreds of more students if I always said, well, I understand you have a unique situation, and I do feel for you, and it's hard to tell people no, or here's what you have to do to meet the policy and legal requirements to get into the school district, but I also have a responsibility to uphold board policies in the state law and to apply those policies. And I have to make sure that we are protecting the integrity of the district in terms of our resident taxpayers. And I have responsibilities with class size ratios that we have to meet and manage the budget of the district. And these things are tough, but I have a lot of people call me that think they're influential in the area to try to help another family that wants to get in here. But we have a lot of people on wait lists waiting to get into our school district. And I don't take it lightly, my responsibility there. And I feel for every family that wants to attend here. There are things that can be done in this particular situation so that everybody can attend the school district. I just want to be clear on that. If you have any questions, we don't need to talk about it now, but you're welcome to call me individually, okay? All right, the next item, I just want to obviously point out and recognize the importance of Black History Month and the teaching and celebrating the contributions and the history of African Americans in our country. The instructional emphasis is really on researching and learning and reading and writing and presenting. Those are all great communication skills that children need to develop. And not only historical figures, but the events, the culture, and we are doing things at every grade level in classrooms to recognize and honor and celebrate and learn about the contributions of African Americans. So I did not want that to go unnoticed this month of February. Parent-teacher conferences were held on January 27th, and we had them scheduled for February 3rd. They were moved to February 10th. The fill rate as of the 10th was 25%. That is up a couple percent from 23% for winter conferences in the fall of 2021. So the spring was a little bit better. Or I'm sorry, the winter conferences in 2021 was 23%. The fill rate this month was 25%. Bloom Carroll High School will be putting on a neat little, they call it Bloom Carroll High School 101. It's for incoming freshmen and their parents to learn a little bit about high school as they transition from 8th to 9th grade. That will take place on March 8th from 6 to 7:30. The high school does a good job with that. The high school science fair is coming up tomorrow. The middle school science fair took place last week, and there were a lot of good middle school projects. And the high school science fair, like I said, will take place tomorrow. A lot of volunteers that come in to help judge. Former teachers, community members, people that are engineers and doctors and expertise in all kinds of areas of science come in to help our students and judge their projects. So that's a neat thing. If you get time tomorrow morning early, about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, stop into the high school gym and check that out. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony took place on January 29th. Congratulations to Tammy Ireland, John Bass, Maggie Leffler, Rob Ingram, and Chalk Woods, who received the service award. The field turf update, as you know, the board's approved replacing the turf that is in need of that. It's used every single day in our district. That'll take place beginning the week of June 13th. We do have plans to get the summer camps done, possibly relocate some over to Roller Field for some of the youth camps, but that'll start June 13th, is my understanding, weather permitting. The athletic department right now, we have tournaments going on or getting ready to start. We're wrapping up the regular season, basketball, wrestling, swimming, all the tournaments will be coming up here real soon. Enrollment projections, just so you know, they're still being worked on. We do have a draft of them. We look forward to going over those at the March planning session. Just to give you maybe a little preview, they do look very different from the 2017 OFCC projection. I will say this, I feel a little bit better about it. There's a recommended one, there's a low, there's a medium, and a high projection. I think it's manageable over the next several years. We've talked about classroom spaces in the middle school, elementary, high school potential to use the district office to maybe look at moving to the Carroll Primary over here for a few years. But I think we're going to be okay. Anywhere on the low end for 10 years out in 2031, 32, to the low end of maybe 2,300 students up to 2,700. And then we have a projected enrollment as well. The reason they're not final is they're still working on the housing analysis, the subdivision analysis, to see the yield from our subdivisions. So that'll be a good report to go over, and then we'll go over it with the board as well. So I don't think it's doomsday. I think it's manageable for the next several years. But I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that.
Mr. Hahn?
Yep.
Do you think that'll be 100% complete by March?
Pretty good chance, yeah.
Just, it doesn't really seem like it took that long for.
It doesn't. We had all the data ready.
Yeah.
A lot of the housing, permits and everything that they pull, they do this stuff for a living. They can get it pretty quickly from all the different, municipalities and subdivisions and everything. So, but yeah, we'll go over it in more detail. I don't want to spend a lot of time tonight on that, but I just wanted to let you know where we are. COVID updates. We have one active staff case right now in our K2 area. That's it that I've been that the nurses have been notified of and have notified me. Just so you remember, there's no more mass notifications with daily cases. It's moving more towards how the health department treats other type A infectious diseases. If there's a cluster or an outbreak determined by the health department, then we would send notices out for parents to watch for signs and things like that. But that's been a little bit more manageable. Our COVID dashboard is on our website. People can see that updated weekly. Also, the Department of Health gets all that information. They post it on the Ohio Department of Health website, so you can see every school district in the state and their active weekly cases and how many are being reported per district. So I think that's it for my update. Any questions about any of that?
How long does that turf replacement take?
It should take about a month.
Okay.
Yeah, they got about a week to
So
tear
you're
out.
talking like football camps and stuff like that? They've been
Yeah,
updated?
we'll be ready by the end of July. So
Okay.
they know they have to be ready that week before. Let's move on to 9B, students and programs. Approve the list of 160 seniors for graduation on Sunday, May 29th, 2022, pending successful completion of all coursework and school requirements. 9B2, approve the Ohio State testing 2-hour delay schedule for the high school on April 5th and 6th, 2022, and April 26th through the 29th, 2022, with April 7th and 12th and May 2nd through 6th as makeup dates. And 9B3, approve an overnight out-of-state trip for varsity and JV baseball teams to Greenville, North Carolina, April 14th through 17th, to be chaperoned by high school baseball coaches. They will not be missing school. That is during our spring break.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Joe Abbott, second by Mr. Matt Bratton.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
Yes.
All right, 9C, personnel and employment, approve substitute list number 7 for February 2022 as submitted by the Fairfield County Educational Service Center. Next page, number 2, approve the addition of one 5th grade teaching position due to increased enrollment effective with the 2022-23 school year. We have, we have worked with the staff. We talked about it in the fall. We did offer another position. They wanted to stay as is for this year, but there are 6 teachers with 178 students. That's 29.6 students per class in 5th grade. We have 180 currently in 4th grade. So that is clearly an issue for next school year, and we want to get an early jump on this, try to.
So there'll be 7 sections, there'll be 7.
Yes, in 5th grade. But we want to get an early jump and try to find somebody this spring before another district gobbles them up. So, number 3, approve the voluntary transfer of Amanda Lister to elementary school teacher assigned to the 4th grade effective with the 2022-23 school year to fill the vacancy created by the retirement and resignation of Mag Hunter. Number 4, approve the employment of Terry Raver as a 5.25 hour per day bus driver on a 1-year limited contract at step 0 effective January 19th, 2022, pending the acceptance of agenda item 9F1, Angela Overmeyer's resignation. Number 5, approve the request for pay scale advancement of Laura Richardson from a bachelor's degree to a bachelor's degree with 150 semester hours pursuant to the receipt and verification of official transcripts effective February 15th, 2022. Number 6, approve the request of Hillary Stokes, a lunchroom monitor at the elementary school, for an unpaid leave of absence effective January 19th, 2022 through March 14th, 2022. Number 7, approve the following request for FMLA leave of absence for Amanda Lister, beginning February 4th for up to 60 days, Mandy Brenneman, beginning February 4th for up to 60 days, and Haley Rose, beginning on or about March 21st, 2022 for up to 60 days. Number 8, approve the following long-term substitute teachers for Michaela Gillenwater for Amanda Lister, beginning February 4th for 4 to 6 weeks. Linda Millis for Mandy Brenneman, beginning February 4th for 6 to 8 weeks. Chloe McCoy for Haley Rose, beginning on or about March 21st, 2022 for approximately 8 weeks. And Deb Miller for Travis Ruckman, beginning January 31st, 2022. Number 9, approve a long-term substitute intervention specialist at the elementary school to be filled as needed and as determined by the superintendent for the remainder of the 2021-22 school year. We've had several move-ins that require special education services in some of our lower grades, and we've had some students recently identified as well, pushing our numbers right to the brink for our intervention specialists there. Depending on the quality of the candidate we could find at this time of year, it could be a challenge, so we're going to take a look at this. Special education directors working closely with the intervention specialist and the principal to kind of monitor that and see the best way to get through this school year. But we may need to, depending on the day, try to find a long-term substitute. So that sometimes can be a little bit more work for people because writing the IEPs,
Right.
holding the IEP meetings, that's very specific work that requires a lot of training, and it's tough to just jump in mid-year and be able to do those things really well. So just know that that's an issue, but we want to be able to possibly add that if we need it. Number 10, approve Michaela Gillenwater to provide up to 30 hours of home instruction during the 21-22 school year at a tutor hourly rate. Number 11, approve the following classified substitutes for the 21-22 school year pending receipt of background checks and required licensure as presented, A through K. Number 12, approve the following students for field experience placements. Gabe Phillips, OUL with Joey Conrad at the middle school, February 15th, 2022 through May 1st. And Aaliyah Evans from OUL with Abby Dybel at the middle school, February 15th through May 1st, 2022. Number 13, approve the 21-22 academic supplemental contract of Cynthia Smith, or amend the 21-22 academic supplemental contract of Cynthia Smith from Group G Elementary School Invention Convention Advisor from 100% stipend to 38% stipend due to the cancellation of the event. Number 14, approve the following academic supplemental contract for the 21-22 school year pending receipt of verifications and background checks as presented below for the musical. Number 15, Approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for 22-23, pending receipt of verifications and background checks. And that would be for Jeremy McKinney, varsity football coach, Group A, experience 18, step 18. Number 16, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for 21-22 school year, pending receipt of verifications and background checks as presented, A through S. Number 17, approve the following athletic department volunteers for the 21-22 school year, pending timely receipt of all verifications and background checks as presented, A through G. Number 18, approve the list of school volunteers for the 21-22 school year, pending receipt of background checks. That's it.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion
Second.
made by Rod Johnson, seconded by Jen Sherman.
Mr. Rod Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
Yes.
All right, 9D, contracts and agreements. Approve entering the following programs, our annual OSBA annual membership at a cost of $5,584, and our OSBA publication subscription at a cost of $150. Approve a resolution for the Bloom Carroll Board of Education to participate in the Ohio School Board Association Legal Assistance Fund for the calendar year 2022 at a cost of $250. Number 3, approve a MOU with Ohio University of Lancaster and the Fairfield County Educational Service Center for the placement of OUL education majors who are in their 3rd or 4th year of an education program as a substitute teacher pending background checks in accordance with Senate Bill 1. So again, I've been telling you about this since last fall, last summer. I approached OUL and the ESC who does the registration process for our substitutes. And I do feel comfortable with Senate Bill 1 allowing non-degreed individuals to substitute in our classrooms. However, I don't want to just open that to a high school graduate who's 18 years old. If they have, if they're in their 3rd or 4th year of an education program, I think that's certainly beneficial for those education majors and for our school district, and the other districts in the county agree. Several are participating in this program. There's about 36 education majors at OUL in their 3rd and 4th years right now. Only 9 were able to, only 9 showed interest. 25%, not too bad, but we got to spread those 9 throughout other schools in the county. 5 of the 9 requested Bloom Carroll, but to be fair to the other districts who also need some substitutes, Bloom Carroll, it sounds like, should be getting 2 of the 9, and we will have 1 for grades K to 5 and then 1 shared at the middle school and high school.
Were they former graduates or they just?
No, I don't know yet. I don't know the names. They're being assigned by OUL, but I get weekly updates on Fridays. The good news is, it's 9 more substitutes in the county than what we had.
Right.
And, every day in our county, there's more positions open than substitutes on the list.
Right.
So we can't fill them, and this will help, but we're getting very close to those individuals. If they sign off and submit all their final paperwork to the ESC, we should be getting them in here very soon. And this is something that I think Senate Bill 1 will be extended beyond the 21-22 school year. I think there's already legislation to make this permanent, and something that we look forward to maybe working with OUL on, kind of grow your own and maybe help get some placements of local education majors in the schools in Fairfield County. So, number 4, approve a resolution card authorizing membership on the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 22-23 school year.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Joe Abbott, motion, and seconded by Mr. Bratton.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
Yes.
Nothing under 9E. 9F, personnel resignations and retirements, except the resignation of Angela Overmeyer, bus driver, effective January 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Second by me. Motion made by Jen Sherman, seconded by Jimmy Johnson.
Mrs. Sherman,
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson.
Yes.
Number 10, new business. Do we have anything? 11, board reports and information, Board of Education liaison updates.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, starting to look better out front. Sean, when do you think we'll have all of that?
It's supposed to be out of here in the next couple weeks. They want to get them to the place that they sold them to, but they should be, they got them all pulled off to the side here on the blacktop. They got one out front. The process from there, after they get pulled out in the next couple weeks, they will, this spring, we will be getting some topsoil out there. We'll be reseeding that, dressing that up so it looks better. The windows on the front of the primary that had air conditioning units, that glass will be replaced to kind of just clean up the main road of the school grounds. So it's been a long process. The ones at the preschool and learning center, those are being poured out as well. So clean up that area as well with the same process. But Dennis has done a good job, and it's going pretty smooth. It just takes time. You know,
Yeah.
and the weather's tough.
And we're all good with the water line over it?
Yeah, we finally located, we had to hydrovac. The water line was about 6 inches deep. It was a steel pipe. It wasn't exactly where the plans from 1960 showed it. So that was a huge challenge, but over 6 foot deep water line, a little bit deeper than what it probably needed to be, but we finally found it. So we got water over there. We're good.
Good.
Personnel and labor management.
No, please.
I think we're good. OSBA representative, Mr. Johnson.
No update.
There is, the spring conference is coming up. I just got some information on that today. I didn't have a chance to share it with you. Jennifer will be reaching out to see if you want to go, but the spring conference is held like Wednesday, March 9th. There's a dinner. The students that presented at the Student Achievement Fair, which was our middle school engineering robotics group, and then our high school innovation lab, they presented at the fall OSBA conference. They're recognized at a dinner along with other school districts. That may be an opportunity that we go to if the teachers are available that are being recognized. So I'll be checking on that, and we'll see if we, you and I, and sometimes Travis goes to that, the teachers. So we'll see.
Famous dinner.
Yeah.
Policy.
What's our next?
We should be getting a PDQ soon. We haven't yet, but we'll need to schedule a policy committee soon.
Number 5, safety, health, and wellness.
I have nothing.
Neither. Number 6, finance.
No updates at this time?
B, upcoming PTO Booster Board of Education meetings. February 16th, high school PTO at 7 p.m. at the Blue Carroll High School cafeteria. February 21st, no school, President's Day. March 8th, middle school PTO at 2:30, Bloom Carroll Middle School Media Center. Same day, 3/8, PTO, 6:30 at Bloom Carroll Elementary School. March 14th, no school, Teacher Professional Development Day. March 14th, Rikers Commission's meeting at 5:45, Bloom Carroll Elementary Media Center. March 14th, Board of Education regular meeting, 6 p.m. will be at the Elementary's Media Center also. March 14th, Athletic Boosters at 7 p.m., Blue Carroll Middle School cafeteria. Number 12, adjourn from regular session and go into executive session for the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee, official, or student, or the investigation charges or complaints against such individual.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Matt Bratton, seconded by Rod Johnson.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Jimmy Johnson?
Yes, time is 6:48.